World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Jana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.
Greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, giving you that checkup from the neck up, leading you towards your financial journey in this life. And of course, we're broadcast on the Soul City Network and WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Love to say that. And in doing it, I welcome you. I'm in my office. Sort of took us, we moved on up. We went to Madison Avenue. I'm still trying to get into an office in Harlem, but we have a new location. And so it's tax season. And of course, I need to keep working, but I will not give up, especially the opening this month of Financial Literacy Month. It is so important that we focus in on financial literacy. Of course, I take great pride in being a certified financial educator, which is stronger than I think anything else in the financial service world, because if we learn and we know better, we'll do better. And being certified to teach how money works is so important. Speaking of how money works, we always open up to give you the opportunity to get the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book. I think y'all can see that here. And of course, the other books have come out from some of my other associates. It's How Money Works for Women, Take Control or Lose It. And then we have for our youngins, those that are 18 to 40, we have How Money Works for the Next Generation, Act Now, Pay Later. And so out of that, we also have a How Money Works, because we got to take care of our brown brothers and sisters. We have a Spanish version of the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. And along with that, we're looking to bring out, it started out as a little joke for April Fool's Day, but we now have another book. It's not a book, it's just a little pamphlet. And it's set up to talk to Gen Z. And it's kind of like a little hip hop to it. And I'll probably feature it again on the show. But if you'd like to have any of those books, all you have to do is go to uh, wealthwave.com/Jana B. That's my site there. And you can click on and see all the books, and we will have the books mailed to you. That's the key is wealthwave.com/Jana B. Jana with the J, JANAB. This is all and so important because of National Financial Literacy Month. If you learn just a little, simple things like the rule of 72, how to deal with debt, all these things are important for you to be able to survive in this capitalistic society. It is necessary, but if you don't learn, you will be basically the sucker. Okay. And sucker has a little bad connotation, but hopefully it irks you enough that you'll do something. And so on our show, we spend a lot of time giving you much information, but also we're going to start doing some seminars or workshops that you can come to. But the best thing to it is that if you know better, you'll do better. But wouldn't you like to know how much you really know? Well, we've devised a little quiz. It's 25 questions. You can answer it quickly. No one's collecting your information to sell it. That's not what it is. It's to help you to know where you are. It's like a GPS system. You know where your starting point is, and you know where you want to get to. So that can be accessed by take the FLQ.com quiz. I think that's how it works. Help me out here. Take the FLQ and .com/Jana B. Of course, I want to know that you've done it. And if you'd like to discuss things later, you can get a free at there. Take the FLQ.com/Jana. That's Jana with the J, JANAB. And you can take the quiz. You can see how you scored. Then you get involved in some of the classes that we have. I'm going to start at the end of this month of April. I'm going to start doing Wednesdays, just little financial literacy classes. But if you contact our office at 646-375-2121, we'll be glad to let you know all the information that's out here that you can help to bring financial literacy to yourself and your family, building a legacy. If you'd like a free financial analysis and where you are, you can call the office, and I have associates who will be glad to walk you through. We do this because we're doing this one step at a time. If we're able to do this and help you to get a little bit closer to your goals and your dreams, these are the things that are important to us. We've got to dream. And in this world and administration, people are trying to cut our dreams, but we don't let that happen. We have to make sure that we fight for our knowledge and that our ability and our culture. And so if you have any questions that you'd like to pose tonight, please feel free to tap in and type them in. I have a dynamic guest tonight, and I'm so happy. This is another brother from another mother. I'm so glad to be able to have him. He is what they call him, the dress down CEO. Well, he's a dress out down king because he is a king of finance. And he is a specialist when it comes down to credit and understanding how, because we get into a lot of mess with credit. So with no further ado, I'd love to bring on my brother, Tyrone Glover.
You know,
Ooh.
I am not worthy of being. I'm in the presence of greatness. So it's when I get an intro like that, I'm almost speechless for someone
Oh, that's sweet.
who speaks
Just
for a
telling
living.
the truth, bro.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, as always, for what you do, what you will continue to do, what Soul City Network is doing. It is always a pleasure to be in your presence. So go ahead, throw it at me.
Okay. Yes, we're going to do some talking. This is, of course, Financial Literacy Month, April. It's also National Poetry Month. So we need to get the poets to doing some financial literacy poems and get out there. But the bigger part is that we really need to focus in, and it's wonderful to have people like yourself on the same crusade, because that's what this is. This is a crusade. You know, it's not just to sell somebody something. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to inform, because we're at a problem stage. So if you'd be so kind, I just would love to hear your thoughts on this financial literacy. I know it's powerful, and you have your show on the Soul City Network on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And it's Leverage Your Credit. So therefore, let's go to tell me what you're thinking, bro, with what's
All right.
going on, with all that's going on.
There is a lot going on. Yes, leverage your score here on Soul City Network at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. It is all about, again, how do we take what we already know, elevate it to another level with the experts that we are, meaning Dr. Jana B and myself, who all we want to do is make sure our community has what they need. That's it. It's not about trickery. It's not about selling anything. These types of situations right here they're free. And we want more people to value free as it is. But again, my name is Tyrone Glover. I'm the dress down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. I'm the executive director of Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. I've now created 2 other additions to that platform, which is the Real Ones in the Room. That's our Substack. And also the new addition, which is the Wealth Lab. Wealth stands for wealth, or wealth, meaning wealth, WEALTH stands for wealth. The E stands for in entrepreneurship. The A stands for assets. The L stands for literacy. The T stands for taxes. And the H stands for housing, because we know each one of those components. And that's why we had to move it a little bit from a singular issue into a more broader umbrella type of approach, because we are seeing that we're not developing the skills that we need to. And I always tell people, let's not get angry, let's not get upset, let's not blame mom, dad, caregiver, loved ones. We know what happened. So the question is, what do we do now that we're getting this information? But again, thank you. Financial literacy is a space and place where we're going to have to do a better job. It's just that simple. The government is already told us you're worth X, Y, and Z on a federal level. The state has already told you as well, you're worth certain understandings on a state level. Your employer has also equally told you you're only going to get X, Y, and Z. So what do you have to do? You have to become financially literate. And that only comes through financial literacy.
Well, that's so important is that if you know better, hopefully you'll do better. But the key is that how do we get people to really understand that they need to know? I hear you. You got all these programs that are fantastic, and they should be filled up to the hilt with folks. But instead, we find excuses. So my question to you is how do we get people more engaged? We've made it fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have sessions, you know, we give them gifts. You know, what's next?
Well, the important thing is it has to be relevant. It has to be something that draws their attention. It has to be, and sometimes it has to be painful. And that pain is also a reality check. So we can't make it always fun and it smells like roses. Sometimes we have to throw that vinegar on top of it. And maybe they might say, ooh, this is kind of bitter or sour or whatever that may look like. But nevertheless, it's challenging when you have such a diverse community. How do we make sure that we're able to approach and meet everyone on that level? So that is a very good question. And I think it's through exploration. You never give up. That's number one. You always attempt to, I mean, even if you have to break it down as you did with the, I was just looking at that, that piece that you had for the financial literacy quiz, which I think is amazing, but we can't keep it as a singular thing. We know that the youth are going to need something with a little bit of music. We know that the adults are going to need something that targets them in however that might look like. We might have to talk to a particular issue. Is it your health that might need a financial adjustment? Is it your income that might need a financial adjustment? So it's a constant moving piece that I don't think we're ever going to be able to hone in on specifically one category or one individual group. It's just a constant building of.
It's interesting. I really, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep going till, there was some time back in our culture that reading was not allowed to be done. And therefore, many people were illiterate and they fought hard to learn. And I'm hoping that we can get that kind of energy going for financial literacy. Reason being is that it's not until, unfortunately, something terrible happens or, there's a furlough on the government and you don't have your emergency fund, because if you did your 7 money milestones, you would have your emergency fund. But you don't have that. We sold the bill of goods when we were growing up that you go to school, get a good education, get a good government job. And then in 30 days, you'll retire and you'll have income for the rest of your life. Okay. So that was a little bit of a lie. We didn't count on inflation and all the things that would impede your wonderful retirement. So that being said, can you describe what some of your programs are with the
Sure.
financial literacy, especially the one that's done in Yonkers, correct?
Yes.
And I know how hard you worked on that because you started with the library. You said,
Yes,
I still got pictures of us in the library.
Well, again, yes, the programs that we're offering are free to the public. We start off with the library we started off with the library approach, and it was finally a long working process to even get the library to take us serious. So once they did take us serious, they gave us a nice little space, and we're able to do a financial literacy workshop every Saturday in the library starting at 2 to 4. And I'm pleased to say that it's drawing in that public, which I'm very, very happy to now be able to be an authority in that space. So when people come to the library, they hear the announcement, they see the picture in the foyer, or they see the pictures as they're going up from one floor to the next floor. So I'm now a centerpiece in the library. But the financial literacy piece is all about, as I said, offering free services to our community so that they can start understanding you're going to have to do more. The handouts that you might have been thinking that the government was supposed to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, we get it. Those days are over. Those days are completely gone. And now that we have watched academia, and I'm not going to say that they sabotaged it or they did what they needed to do, but it's about a budget. If that doesn't fit within that budgetary understanding, then they're going to remove certain things. We're seeing it play out, obviously, in front of our faces with how the current administration is doing what they're doing. So all I can say to people is, if you are serious about learning how money works, which is one of your key understandings of how you maneuver in getting people to understand the importance of, you have to do more for yourself. There is no getting around it. We can coach you, we can teach you, we can develop you, we can give you, but if you don't execute, what does that do? It doesn't do anything. So yes, the library is where we offer the free programs. And if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about that, meaning if they want to take us on as their, or if we want to take them on as a client, then we'll do that on that level. And we'll equally, if someone says, hey, all I want to do is learn, I'm a smart person, I'm an intelligent person, I'm a wise, savvy person, great, then we're going to coach you. And I think it's important to change some of even the definitions. Teaching scares people. Believe it or not. It's that academia understanding that we learned from school. School has basically told you that if you're not the best, then you're failing. Yeah. And that wouldn't be the understanding. If you're failing, that means more or less that you're learning. And we should always look at a failure as a learning opportunity. Just because you get a C or a D doesn't mean that you're the worst possible student. Or even if you get an F, you're looking at somebody who wasn't the smartest person in school to now being somebody who's an authority in a space that Black people were never even supposed to be in. So it's a huge accomplishment. And all I want to do now is make sure that every single one of our people has what they need. It's about us. It's about you. It's not about me and Dr. Jana B. It's about those who are listening, those who are paying attention, those who want better for themselves. You have to do it. And if you do, you speak that financial language, you speak that academia language, you speak that business language, that creates leverage. And that leverage allows for you to be in spaces where they were not expecting you to be in.
Oh, that's interesting. We got a question from Stacy Robbins. She's saying, what is your opinion of using a debt relief service, and will it help to restore good credit?
That is a challenging question because I never like to demean or take away from other businesses and what they do. They probably set out to do the right things, but as time went on, they kind of veered off into what's more accessible to their pocket versus what's more accessible to the clients that they're helping. So debt relief is a catch-22. You have to be careful. You have to know that these individuals are truly fighting for you, because you can do the exact same thing that they do. You can call up your creditors and you can say, hey, Mr. Creditor or Mrs. Creditor, I need to lower this interest. And if they can't do that for you after you obviously found yourself in a sticky situation, then again, you have to know the institution. I did it myself. I went through a debt relief way back in the day. And of the $300 or $400 that I was giving them, I noticed that only 39 of it was going to the actual debt relief, and the rest of it was going into their pocket. So you have to know exactly, are they really calling your creditors? Are they really attempting to lower your debts? Are you still getting are you still getting letters in the mail stating that, oh, we're going to take you to court or whatever that might look like? So you have to know that these companies are fighting for you. Does it help? Of course. It does help, but I believe that we as individuals can do a far better job. Who's going to advocate for you better than you?
That's true. And then also they may feel a little bit more empathy because you are trying to do this compared to a company. Because if you're able to hire a company, you're able to pay me. That could happen.
Excellent right there. If you are able to pay someone $300-$400, then you should be able to give me $150 of that $300. If you divided that into 4 credit cards and said, okay, I can give you $100 per, that's a negotiation power that we tend to not look to, but we get bought into these companies who say, oh, I can do it far better. Or even, again, nothing against the ESQ people. I think they're phenomenal. I think they're great in their aspect, but is it that they're looking at their bottom line, or are they looking at your bottom line, meaning helping you, really resolving some of the issues? So since I've been taking it on myself, I know that I do a far better job. And by giving someone that understanding, they equally can do a far better job. And then, as I said, speaking the language. You have to learn the business language. You have to learn the financial language. You have to know that whom you're talking to, they may hear you, but you're not speaking their language.
Mm. Well, that's interesting. You know, it's interesting this tax season. And as y'all know, I've been in business for 47 years on my own with taxes, heading to that 50 hitting. But in doing it this year above all, and I don't know, maybe you may know why, there are so many 1099-Cs, you know, that you get when you cancel the credit, the debt, or they're working on canceling the debt. Is there a way of getting out of the debt without getting those 1099-Cs? Of course, I know how to get rid of it because I can claim if someone's in debt, which makes no sense to me. Okay, you're in debt. Then you're going to tell me I got to add this debt to my income. I can't pay the debt. So how in the world am I going to pay the taxes on it? And then you give me this 1099-C and I put it on my income, and now I'm in debt to the government. I mean, this is, it's ridiculous. Is there a way of getting the credit to come, to eliminate this? Because we've gone into the okie doke. We got to be real. They give us credit cards. Thank God they finally got it where they're not supposed to attack our high school students graduating,
Right.
but that doesn't mean they don't come with other ideas and little gifts. But is there a way to do this without, I know that the what is it, the 982, I think is the number. I'm bad with those numbers, believe it, but I know what they do.
Right.
I know how to do it to say, I can't pay this and take it off your income. But there's the first few that sit up there is added to the income, added to your other income deductions, possibly. And then the last but not least is that 982.
Mhm.
So is there anything that can be done without having to have outside of getting a great accountant that will get it eliminated?
And there it is. You said it right there. A great accountant that can help get it eliminated, but it's also precedence. We've allowed for the debt industry to create more issues and circumstances and situations. We don't go to court. So when they end up suing you or going to court and then creating this opportunity to get that, even that 1099, we gotta revisit that area. Why would a debt collection, or excuse me, a creditor write it off and then say that you still owe that debt? They've collected on that debt. There's something called the bad debt deduction. And I believe that bad debt deduction needs to be argued far more. It needs to be argued stronger by people like us who can literally get in there and say, I'm sorry, Your Honor, hold on here for a second. The company has an obligation. They can either write it off or they can say we can renegotiate with that consumer. We do that with businesses. Meaning the government does that with businesses. Businesses do it with business. Financial institutions do it with financial institutions, where they say, okay, the government says, okay, we're going to give you ammunition. And we know you might not be able to pay us back. And they're not giving 5 years, 10 years, 15. They're giving 30 years. Say that 30 years comes around and that country still can't pay. They're going to renegotiate. Why are we not renegotiating? Why are businesses think it's so advantageous to just say, hey, you know what? After 30 days, after 60 days, after 90 days, we're going to write this off and then we're going to penalize you. There should be that same understanding where they should be able to sit down and renegotiate. And since they're not doing that, we as consumers have to say, I'm not taking this 1099. I'd rather go to court. I'd rather, but when it comes to court too, they're like, oh my goodness, we don't want to go to court because there's going to be a day off. And every time when I go to court, I'm always thinking that I'm going to be penalized. Court just means you get to express yourself. You get to let the judge or whomever that might be, let you know, hey, I'm with you. But you have to present that argument. And if we're not presenting it, we get the status quo, which is the financial institutions say, I got my money back. Because they're going to get their money back because the IRS is saying that is a bad debt. So we're going to give you back your money. Then there is no more exchange that needs to be had. There shouldn't be anything that goes to a consumer saying, now this is part of your income, when in all actuality, it's not. Because if you had money to pay it, guess what you would have did? You would have paid it. If you didn't have the money, and again, I'm not excusing anyone from their obligations. We must live up to our obligations, whether that is a relationship that we're in with our husband and spouse and mate, whether that's a relationship we're in with our children, whether that's a relationship we're in with our job, whatever that might look like, we have to live up to those obligations. But my long story short is it's precedence. We've allowed for the industry to create such a negative understanding now that they can get away. Again, you probably know just as much as I know about the tax code. Tax code used to be 400 pages. They are now 75,000 pages with interpretations. And trust me, that was not for the working poor, the working homeless, the middle class, the ever eroding middle class. That was for the rich. So it's precedence. Once we learn the language, once we have an understanding of, you know what, boss, I'm going to have to take that day off. I need to go to court and argue this issue so that we set a new precedence. But that 1099, always there's a way to get around it. Don't accept it. Send it back. You get it, send it right back and say, I'll see you in court. And technically, when you think about it, we shouldn't be going to court anyway. According to the contracts of our debt according to the contracts of those that we get from our banks, lenders, and things of that nature, they're supposed to be mediating. You know why they go to court? Court is $80 to $140, maybe $160. To mediate something, it's $1,400, $1,500 to $5,000. So that's the reason why they don't do mediation, and that's the reason why they choose to go to court. But if you don't understand how to fight it, guess what happens? Stays in the same precedence. So that 1099, absolutely not. It should not fall into your pocket as debt. It should be wiped off because the IRS is giving that company back the money that they lost.
Got it. So we have a question. Melvina Keys says, what is the best credit rating for home loan?
Now, if you're above that 730, you can easily get a loan. 730, you can get a loan. You can get a home loan. Now, would it be the best interest? But that allows for you to be able to, as time goes on, you're in your first year, your second year, your fifth year, you can, again, it's all about negotiation. We do not know how to negotiate. Now, clearly, if you're above that 730, that 630, if you're above that, say you're in the 650, 680, 700, whatever interest that you get, you have to understand, I'm going to pay you. I'm going to make sure that we're living up to that contractual obligation, but I also want something back in return. I want to be able to lower that interest rate as time goes on. They do it for banks all the time. If we could borrow at 0%, do you know how many people would have homes right now? But we can't borrow at 0%. The federal government gives so much liberty to businesses. I was just looking at something called Subsidy Tracker. They keep saying that the poor people are the welfare queens. Boeing receives $15 billion a year from taxpayer money. Amazon, who Jeff Bezos is the second, third, fourth, depending on where you get your information from, the richest person on the face of the planet. Tesla, all these people receive taxpayer dollars. But my whole point that I'm making is that there are, if you're at 730, 780, whatever that, 630, 680, whatever that looks like, reach out to those banks, to those lenders, and ask them, what do I have to do? What do you need from me? And of course, we all know that you're going to need to show some assets. You're going to need to show that you have at least 3 to 5 months of money already saved up. A lot of people are trying to buy a home or get into a home loan, and the only thing that they have to show is their salary. That's not going to do it. It has to be that you have other things just in case something happens. So we got to really dive into what do we need prior to even going to the bank to get a home loan when we know we are missing 2 or 3 components. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. The average worker has 1.
And the 7 income streams are 7 income streams of 100,000 or more, because that's where we didn't get the whole story. Because I know everyone says, oh, if I get 7 income streams, I'll be a millionaire. No, you need 7 income streams over 100,000. And yes, you will be,
You're way more attractive in that space when it comes to that lender. Again, they want to see that if something should go left, are you still going to be able to meet that obligation? Same thing with a car, same thing with a loan. Let's not just rush into certain things. And this also leads into that that piece that I always talk about in financial literacy as well, allocating. Don't go out and get a $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 credit card. You don't need that. You need the average person should have anywhere from 5 to 8 credit products. And the married couple should have anywhere from 8 to 12 credit products. Now, those credit products can look in any kind of fashion, but it needs to be something that's building. And when you can show a positive track history that you're doing, that's another, you might not even have all the 7 income streams, but they'll still look at that you're able to meet your obligation. That's the biggest piece of credit. Obligations. Are you being faithful to your obligations? And if you are, a lot of banks will exclude a lot of the deficiencies that you may not have when it comes to your income.
So it's not always about all of the, people like to hold their credit cards, and I'm quite thankful that the government in New York decided to let us, when they do those charges and those fees for people using the card, that we could pass it on to them. They getting all the little points and the stuff, and we winding up paying and getting less money. Okay, we got another question. This is, should someone get a secured credit card?
Now, this one here is, I found out a lot of tricky stuff with the secured credit card. Secured credit cards, you have to be careful. Now, what I found out over the course of dealing with secured credit cards is that they take your resources and they put them into an escrow, and then they lend you their money.
Wow.
Now, they don't tell you that they're lending you their money. This is stuff that you find out. Obviously, myself had found out as we went through the process, that's the reason why they can charge you interest. Because if you think about a secured credit card, you're securing it with your own money.
Yeah.
How do you secure it with your own money and then somebody charges you interest on it? Again, the whole borrowing aspect is where you can charge interest. But if I'm securing it with my own money, so it's a nuanced type of situation. You use it for a time being. You keep up to the obligation that it is asking you by paying on time and things of that nature. But then after, say, 6 months or a year, you want to switch that over to an unsecured. Okay, because you have demonstrated within that 6 months, whatever that time frame is, you've paid on time, you brought down your utilization. So the secured card is a great way to build, but it's not a longevity type of situation that you want to stay in, because you're paying money on something that you technically should not be paying money on, because you're securing it with your own money, and they're playing that okie doke that you just said a couple of times. They're playing that okie doke on us. So you have to be very, very careful with these secured cards. Short term to build, because credit is a building understanding. It's a building product, but you don't want to stay into it for too long.
Understood. So we're in this stage right now. Everyone's talking about, if you haven't heard about it, it's something you should, or you might be crawled under a rock, but there's a thing called this great wealth transfer that's coming about. Right. Great wealth transfer. Now that's a lot. Great. And it's going to be wealth. Okay. So it's not money necessarily. It's wealth. There's a difference. Transfer taking place up to, I believe it's 2030 or 2040 that this money's going to, $124 trillion.
Like that.
Oh my goodness. And they say that the women, because we happen to live longer, it's one of those things that 80% of the men in this country die married, but 80% of the women die single. We kill off a lot of men. Okay. So women are supposed to have a part of this great wealth transfer of about $30 trillion will transfer into their hands. Learning how money works is very important, of course, because if not, there'll be a bunch of, I'm going to be sexist, be a bunch of red bottom shoes out here if it's $30 trillion. But I've asked the question, and how much of that is really going to come to our Black and brown sisters? How much is going to be transferred into our community when it's called the Great Wealth Transfer? Well, we have what's called the racial wealth gap. So my thought is, how does this work? And maybe from your perspective, how do we do this? How do we get out here? And, again, it's the wealth transfer. And unfortunately, in our communities, a lot of money is not transferred because we don't build any legacy.
We don't have the equity. We don't have the, we were just talking about it, appreciation assets. That's how the transfer actually happens. You have to have something that you can transfer. If you don't, so it goes back to, as we started the conversation, which was, you have to educate yourself. You have to understand that your job is a subtraction. So most people don't understand their job. They don't understand that you get paid, say, $100,000. All right. From that $100,000, the first thing that comes out is taxes. So that's, if you're, we're going to keep it on the single level. And we know that you can pay anywhere from 30 to 50% in taxes. So that means that $100,000, whoop, it's now down to $50,000. From that $50,000, the next biggest chunk that's going to come out of there is where you live. So that's half of that now gone. Whoop, that $100,000 that you had is now down to $25,000. Of that $25,000, you have you had that now $25,000. Divide that by 365. That's $70 a day. So you're already where you don't have anything to transfer. So you have to think about, how do I create additional resources? How do I bring in more resources to, one, start investing, two, start doing the things that are going to allow for me to have something to transfer. Okay, we're transferring debt. We're transferring a cell phone. We might transfer grandma's earrings or whatever that may look like, but that's still not appreciating assets. So I tell everybody now, if you got the urge to shop, it's nice that you want to go to Walmart. It's nice that you want to go to Target. It's nice that you want to go to Macy's. It's nice that you want to go to wherever it is that you go to spend your money. Look in your closet and see, we got a white party coming up. Do I need to go out and buy another white party? We got Easter coming up. Do we need to go out and buy a new Easter outfit? We need to be more strategic about how our money is actually being spent. That's the only way you get to transfer something, if you have it to transfer. But if you're spending it, you have nothing to transfer. So it's the thought process, it's the mindset. We have to remove ourselves from what we have been indoctrinated or more or less programmed to constantly do. We are consumers when we need to go back to being customers. There is a difference there. A consumer is a statistic. A customer is someone who gets serviced properly. And even when we go to our banks, we're not even being seen as a consumer, because they try to rush you in and rush you out. They don't want to spend time with you. So it's the thought process. That wealth, that great wealth transfer could be very lucrative for us if we think about what we've already contributed. So now we have to think about, what does the next year look like? What does the next 5 years look like? If we want to partake in that great wealth transfer, we have to have something to transfer. You got to stop spending.
Yeah, and we do have to, some of the things that we even have, we don't, things like putting beneficiaries on all of your accounts, your 401ks, your 403bs, the things that are at work. Making sure that if you make an investment, that it has a beneficiary or transfer upon death. Take a little stroll to the world of unclaimed funds, because it's billions of dollars sitting there. And sometimes it may be a family member that has gone on and you have the rights to claim it. That's a way, get something,
Yes, stop letting it end up in these, where is it, where you go to the government and that unclaimed funds area?
Yeah.
Stop searching for that, because that, again, there might be some assets there. I get it. If mom or dad or grandmother or whomever that might be has already passed on, and there might be something there. But like you just said, if you have a mentally challenged or mentally disabled child or mentally capable child, I hate to use the negative words, but and you have all the information in your brain and it's not written down, if something happens to you, that child is going to be without. So it really is, as you said, we have to get away from the, I know, but if something happens to me, what do I have to show? A lot of kids think that, if something happens to mom, dad, or caregiver or loved one, well, I'm going to my favorite aunt, or I'm going to my grandmother, or I'm going here. That's not the case. The state will literally snatch that child, and that child will be in the care of the state. And grandma can yell and holler, and auntie can yell and holler. That's still not going to change the fact. The state is, but if you have it written down, if you have it on some type of a document, it's not that hard to put it into a will, put it into a trust. It is not that challenging or that hard.
No, not difficult at all. And sit down with a financial advisor or a financial educator, or, take care of some of these services that you can go to. Okay, so we have another question. Could you please explain what is the purpose of doing away with a penny? Not was obvious. What's not obvious? Okay. That was obvious is not. So I don't have an answer. Okay. And
came back with
she says, I go to the stores, they want to round up, or some of them will just say, we don't have pennies. And when I complain about them giving me my 2 cents, they'll give me a nickel. Hey, that's a good deal.
That is. Well, this is the businesses doing their mathematics. Okay. So they always ask you, can they round things up? because they're equally not wanting to deal with that small change anyway. And plus, they're finding out that their associates, if the electricity went out, those associates wouldn't know how to put the pennies together to give you back the correct change. So I see how it works in both people's, it works to both people's advantage. Now, the question is real serious, and I really want to take it as that, but let's think about how we can just make sure that we're doing things more efficiently. All right. If they're asking me to round up, that's cool. I'm cool to round up. But what are you giving me with that roundup? Are you sending me a 10% coupon? Are you sending me a 20% coupon? It can't be that I'm just giving you and you're not giving me back in return. All right. So I know businesses, they do what they need to do to make sure that that bottom line, because if you get 1 million customers and you keep the 2 cents or the 3 cents or whatever that might look like, that's additional revenue for your store. Now, are you passing that on to your employees? Are you passing it on to the customers? No, you're not. So some of us might have a little bit of a reservation towards that, but there has to be an even understanding. If I'm giving you this 2 cents, what am I getting back in return? And if you're a consumer who's like, you know what, no, I'm not giving you my 2 cents, that's cool too. Also, equally, I love the way that the individual posed the question. Let's remove the complaint. Let's start focusing on the verbiage of it's a concern. It's a valid concern that I have with this institution. I want to keep doing business with you, but if you keep minimizing my verbiage and turning it into a complaint, then you're minimizing me as your so-called valued consumer.
Mm-hmm. And that the other part to it is it's a game being played on precious metals.
Exactly.
And we know what that penny used to be, the copper. Now it's some colored piece of metal. But I think also it's the psychological part to build revenue slowly. And I still know there are gazillions of y'all out there that got those doggone what is it, popcorn cans and water bottles full of pennies. Now, if you take a little time and you let the kids have fun, you could possibly find some pennies that have some serious value in them. The same thing is with the nickels. And
dimes too. If you might even see a dime that's a silver dime, and you think that it's nothing, but you can feel it and you can hear it when you drop it down. What do you think they came out with that coin, that green coin machine in the stores now?
Yeah, they're there to collect It's just like what they did with the gold parties. The gold parties gave you, you went and gave your gold, and now look at it. Gold is at an all-time high, and you then gave it away. Stop giving away grandma's gold and silver and grandma's land. Stop doing it. It's one of those things. Okay, we got another. If you had a credit score of 800 or below, I never thought I'd say that. 700 or below. I thought 700 was daggone good. I remember when 650 was good. Things have changed. But raise it to 800 plus. How long do you have to maintain the ladder to see the benefits of having good credit?
Now, it's really, again, I'm going to always go back to how well are you negotiating? If you're not negotiating, then you're going to be stuck with whatever it is that the industry chooses to give you. Your job is every single month, if you want to call and ask someone, lower my interest, ask to lower that interest. When you get a credit card or you get whatever that might look like, you have now leverage. You have to exercise that leverage. You have to call those credit card companies. You have to, again, however you're paying, if you're paying, say, well, what we used to be accustomed to doing with our bills, 1st, the 3rd, the 8th, the 9th, the 12th, the 15th, the 17th, or whatever that looks like. So we're paying throughout the whole month. So this is why our credit was always like a roller coaster. Credit's not a roller coaster. Credit is a rocket. And it should always be in an upwards trajectory. So we have to do a lot of things now strategically different to be able to create that leverage that allows us to be able to, because we've always, when you think about it, Blacks, Hispanics, whites, Asians, Middle Easterns, we've always had as you said, decent range. But since the industry has decided to say, okay, wait a minute, We can't have blacks and Hispanics in the same category as whites and Asians. So we had to lengthen this understanding or move it out of a space where it would keep certain individuals from. There's a lot of circumstances that prevent. Overall, you have to get into the fact of negotiation. You're going to find whether or not you're dealing with good people or you're dealing with people who just want to keep you in a certain level. But if you're not opening up that dialogue, you're going to stay there. So I tell everybody, make sure that 6 months goes by, a year goes by, reach out to those lenders and say, hey, I've been with you. You've made money off of me, clearly, because I've been paying you interest. So how do I now turn that into my advantage? And you can jump ship if you need to jump ship. You do not have to stay with a creditor. There's always new companies out there. There's even fintech products now that are out there that will take you on because they're not dealing with brick and mortar cost. They are now strictly online. They'll give you a far better interest rate or far better conditions, but you have to do something that's going to allow for that to happen.
That's great. And also, while we're at it on the credit state, how does one build their credit and get to that score of what Ms. Robbins was asking about to 800? What do they have to do?
Building credit is using a credit product. Okay. You can't build credit by using cash and debit. Cash and debit says, thank you very much. Please come again. Credit says, thank you very much. Please come again. And oh, by the way, I'm going to report this to those industries that are going to give you or extend to you better rates as time goes on. Equally, it allows for you to manage it far more effectively to where you're not using, if you're using all three, credit, debit, and cash, you're overspending. You can't say that I'm budgeting properly because I'm using three mechanisms of watching this money go out of my pocket. So you have to think more strategic about what it is that I'm attempting to do. If I'm building credit, I have to use credit. I have to allocate also equally my credit products to certain tasks. And I say that all the time. You got an electric bill, you got a cell phone bill, you got a water bill, you got all of these other ancillary subscriptions. Start thinking about getting a smaller credit card, like a $200, $300 credit card. You're using it just for that to say if your electric bill and your water bill. Then you get another credit card for just your cell phone, depending on obviously how expensive it is. But usually, as I said, you should have between 5 and 8 credit products if you're single. Especially, a lot of us won't have a vehicle, so we won't be dealing with an auto loan. If you do, that's one credit product that falls into a whole new category. A lot of us won't have a mortgage, so because we're getting hit, because our rent is not part of that structure, which I think rent should definitely be part of that structure. And I'm going to be working with legislators as time goes on. If my mortgage is part of a structure, then my rent should equally be part of that structure. It will lift us all up into that area of where we are more attractive. And if I've been paying a rent for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, a bank should look at a person and go, hey, wait a minute, we're going to put you into your own home. I guarantee you people will do far better at protecting that home than putting themselves in a situation where they're renting and the landlord will barely come up to paint. Will barely come up to change the carpet, will barely come up to do any repairs. So it's all about how do we strategically use our resources where there has to be an ROI, a return on my investment. If there's no return, then that means you're not negotiating that
Understood, definitely. Okay, well, did we miss any questions? I know there's
So one.
Yeah, I thought so too, but it's okay if we didn't. All right. Oh, I see it. I was wondering, I was wondering where were they trying to slip us into Bitcoin or get rid of money? It is going to be the nickel next or the next. She typed, okay. Or the dime next. I don't know. They go into the world is moving towards truly a cashless society and into getting
digital assets, things of that nature.
Thank you. Yes. And so do you see, as from your perspective, that that's where we're heading and that we really won't need to have money?
I believe as time goes on, absolutely. As AI enters into that space, so will some of the traditional understandings of what we have used to, and all these are means of exchange. That's all it is. Your money is a means of exchange. It allows for you to go to a location, buy some things, and then move on to the next thing. But even if that does happen, I believe that we should not be afraid of this new advance or technology that is moving into that space. We need to just be informed. And I'm not saying everybody needs to know everything. Have some people who know things that you may not want to spend time on knowing. At least this way, if you have an authority, as you are in the tax space, as I am in the credit space, have people that you can say, I got a guy, I got a gal. That's fine. You don't need to be a jack of all trades, which we thought that was the way of maneuvering, but that was in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. Today, I'm going to specialize in the area in which I'm good at, and then I'm going to partner myself with those who are also good at whatever it is that they do. Then this way, that communication allows for us to grow as a community. Then this way, we don't have to bog ourselves down with trying to know every single thing about how money works, how taxes work, how insurance works, how to do whatever it is that we're looking to do in this society where it's heavily monetized. And then equally, we need to have legislation and legislators who are going to make sure that they're protecting us. 60% of Congress is millionaires and billionaires. And I say it all the time. Millionaires and billionaires are not going to be looking out for the poor. They are not going to be looking out for the homeless. They're not going to be looking out for the marginalized communities or the perceived marginalized communities when it comes to finances. But we have to be a better community when it comes to our finances. We have to understand it. We have to demand upon this next generation that academia does what it needs to do, and it has to be in schools. There is no ifs, no ands, no buts. We cannot say that our children can learn math, meaning addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, calculus, algebra, statistics, geometry, but yet we can't teach them how money works through financial literacy.
So
that
true,
has
so
to change. So there is the bottom line to the overall understanding of what this conversation really is. Academia, along with legislation, that will give our next generation the opportunity to start getting appreciating assets versus the depreciating assets that we tend to always find ourselves maneuvering around.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're truly consumer. We got to stop that. Well, this has been wonderful. I know our time is winding down and it goes so fast. I'm looking forward to working with you. We're looking to do a wealth summit in Harlem during Harlem Week. And I want to continue to bring forth the financial literacy. I will say to all of you, please, if you've got a moment, take the FLQ .com. Go to take the FLQ. Am I saying that right? It just moves so fast. Yes, there it is.
Take the FLQ. There it is.
.com/Jana B. Please get out there and share that with others so they can see where they're at. No one's going to judge them, because I see people are so concerned about, someone's going to know I don't know anything or I didn't do well. And so no one's going to know other than the fact that I know you took it. Okay.
24% of the population, meaning African Americans, cannot answer a financial literacy question properly. 37% of Hispanics. And again, this is not a stain or a blight or anything that takes away. Learning is important. And I would prefer you get it wrong. I would prefer you all wrong. This way we can help you with making sure that moving forward, you get it right. But please equally check out our Substack. Again, this is an amazing, I love you to death, Dr. Jana B. You are one of the brightest queens that I know when it comes to this space. And I'm glad and grateful that you always give me the opportunity to come back and do what I do to help our public, our generation, to move to that next level. So please continue to be safe, you and yours, as we move through this Easter, as we move through this season of dysfunction in this overall government. But it will come to pass that we will, as we have with all things. We got through a king, we got through slavery. We will get through this as well.
We will. We will win. As our sister said, we will rise.
Amen.
And so thank you again, brother.
Absolutely.
Tyrone Glover, the Dress Down CEO King. I used to say it, you better call on Tyrone.
Oh, I was waiting for it.
You know I had to say it eventually.
Yes.
But I'm so thankful. And you all have a good night. Thank you for being on Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Jana B. Woodhouse, giving you that checkup from the neck up. I know you learned something today. Have a good night.
Outstanding.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be lethal to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is magic.